The sun hung high above the bustling city streets, pouring warm daylight across the crowded outdoor café where people laughed, clinked glasses, and enjoyed meals that smelled of luxury. Amid this comfort, a thin shadow stood trembling near the marble counter, her clothes worn, her hands shaking, her eyes hollow yet carrying a spark that refused to die. Her name was Elira, a woman whose past had once been full of dreams but whose present was defined by hunger. That afternoon, as the perfume of fresh bread and roasted chicken spread through the café, Elira swallowed hard, staring at the plates she could never afford. And then, gathering every ounce of courage left inside her, she stepped toward a man who looked too polished, too confident, too unreachable. A man known secretly to the city as a millionaire, Ronan Vale. She whispered, voice tight with shame, may I have your leftovers, sir?" And in that moment, when Ronan lifted his eyes to meet hers, the world seemed to stop, as if fate itself had paused, waiting for a miracle to unfold. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and humanity, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to RW Insights. Your support helps bring more real, heart-touching stories to the world. Elira didn't know that Ronan had arrived at the café to escape the noise of his own mind. Despite his wealth, success, and public admiration, Ronan carried a loneliness he concealed behind tailored suits and polished shoes. That day, he had come to distract himself from the emptiness he felt, but instead, he found himself face to face with eyes that reflected a pain he instantly understood. Elira's gaze wasn't begging for pity, it was holding on to hope with bruised fingers that were slipping fast. Ronan looked at his untouched plate, then at her trembling hands, and something deep inside him shifted like a locked door opening for the first time in years. Elira stepped back in embarrassment, murmuring apologies, but Ronan gently moved his plate aside and said nothing, not yet. He noticed how she kept glancing toward the food but tried to hide her desperation. The sunshine hit her face, revealing a woman who had once known better days, a woman whose soul looked tired but unbroken. Ronan quietly signaled the waiter and ordered a fresh meal, then placed it in front of her. He didn't ask where she came from or why she was in this condition. He simply said, "Please, sit and eat." Those 5 words made Elira's breath catch as tears pooled in her eyes, not because of pity but because she had forgotten what it felt like to be treated like a human being. As Elira ate slowly, savoring each bite, Ronan observed her with genuine concern. Her hands moved with gratitude, with a quiet dignity that touched something inside him. When she finally whispered, "Thank you," Ronan gently asked where she lived. She hesitated, swallowed hard, and admitted she had been sleeping on an abandoned rooftop near the river for almost 2 months. Life had collapsed after she lost her job at a small design studio, followed by her apartment, her belongings, and her sense of direction. The city she once believed would shape her dreams had instead shaped her scars. Ronan felt a tightness in his chest. He recognized that silent suffering, the kind that eats you from the inside long before anyone notices. But Elira didn't ask him for anything else. She didn't beg for money or help. She simply thanked him again and prepared to walk away. That moment struck Ronan harder than he expected. Most people he met wanted deals, opportunities, or influence. This woman wanted nothing except dignity, and he realized how rare that was. So, as Elira turned, Ronan stood and stopped her gently. Something about the way sunlight illuminated her frail figure made him feel like he was witnessing a crossroads in both their lives. He asked if she still designed. Her eyes widened with a flicker of old passion. She confessed she hadn't touched a pencil in months but used to love creating illustrations that brought stories to life. Ronan nodded slowly, then made a decision that felt guided not by logic or charity but by instinct. He offered to see her drawings and, if she was willing, give her a chance to rediscover her talent. Elira hesitated, uncertain if this was kindness or pity, but Ronan's voice held sincerity that softened her defenses. She agreed. The next day, under the same bright daylight, Elira returned with a worn folder clutched to her chest. Her drawings were faint, some damaged by rain or time, but they carried beauty, a kind of soulfulness that modern digital perfection could never replicate. Ronan was stunned. He didn't see a homeless woman in those strokes, he saw an artist, a storyteller, a survivor. Something in her work felt alive. And in that moment, Ronan realized he wasn't giving her a chance, she was giving him a chance to feel something meaningful again. He immediately arranged for her to work with his media company's creative team. The staff was skeptical at first, unsure of who she was, but Elira's quiet focus soon won them over. Within weeks, her designs began shaping entire campaigns. Her art attracted attention, not because people pitied her but because her work felt honest, human, and deeply emotional. Elira finally began earning again, began finding stability again, and most importantly, began believing in herself again. Through this journey, Ronan often found himself visiting her workspace, checking on her progress not as a boss but as someone who felt unexpectedly connected to her spirit. Elira, on the other hand, discovered that behind Ronan's wealth was a man with wounds of his own, wounds he rarely allowed anyone to see. Their shared brokenness became a bridge that grew into a quiet but powerful bond. No grand declarations, no dramatic confessions, just two souls healing in each other's presence, learning to breathe again. Months passed, and Elira's life transformed. She moved into a small but warm apartment, began rebuilding her dreams, and even started teaching art to children in the community center. Ronan attended her first small exhibition, standing silently in the crowd as he watched people admire her pieces, pieces filled with hope, resilience, and the beauty of rising again. Elira caught his gaze from across the room, her eyes shining with gratitude, and he smiled softly, knowing that the miracle wasn't that he helped her. The miracle was that she helped him feel human again. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to RW Insights. Your support helps spread kindness and inspiration to others who need it. Before the story ends, I request you to comment one word that describes how this story made you feel. And in the gentle daylight that filled the exhibition hall, Elira and Ronan stood side by side, two strangers brought together by a simple question, forever changed by a moment of unexpected kindness. And somehow, that became the miracle they both had been waiting for.